I developed a sleeping medication addiction. Are you aware of the rules? No rules apply. Every week, John C. Claude Van Damme used cocaine valued at $10,000. In order to locate him on set, directors had to employ handlers. He would show up hallucinating, miss entire shoots, and vanish for days at a time. His career worth $100 million was ruined by the drugs. His worst secret, however, wasn't that. He was diagnosed with rapid cycling bipolar disorder after attempting suicide in 1998. When he got clean, he believed his problems were ended. Then, in April 2025, he was slammed with potentially fatal trafficking charges by Romanian prosecutors. On October 18, 1960, Jean-Claude Van Damme was born in Berm-Saint-Agat, a tiny neighborhood in Brussels. Jean-Claude Camille François van Varenberg was his full name. Eugène, his father, was a florist and an accountant. His father spoke French, and his mother, Aleliana, was Flemish and spoke Dutch. Their bilingual home later aided Jean-Claude when he came into the public eye. He grew up in a peaceful working-class area with his sister, Veronique. His parents had always valued hard work and discipline. Jean-Claude's father thought the youngster needed martial arts training after noticing how thin and timid the boy was. Jean-Claude had severe academic difficulties as a young lad. His frame was thin and frail, and he wore heavy glasses. He was constantly harassed by kids who called him names like brains. He had little interest in sports. He liked solitary pastimes and comic novels. He later claimed that growing up was really difficult and that he lacked any strength. His dad knew that something needed to change. Jean-Claude began lifting weights at the age of 11. His goal was to change his body such that he could no longer be pushed around. His life was profoundly altered by that choice. His haven was the gym. He trained every day because he was determined to never again feel powerless. His father enrolled him in karate lessons at the Centre National d'Art in Ixelles when he was 12 years old. Claude Gitz, the coach, was a harsh guy. Jean-Claude trained every day from 1972 until 1976. The lessons were harsh. Despite repeatedly breaking his nose during sparring, he persisted. He acquired self-control, deft kicks, and extraordinary flexibility. He gained a berth on Belgium's national karate squad by the time he was 16 in 1976. For a boy who had previously been teased for being weak, this was a tremendous accomplishment. Simultaneously, an unexpected event occurred. Jean-Claude began taking ballet lessons in secret. He continued to practice karate, but he also practiced ballet 5 days a week from the ages of 16 to 21. He was aware that it would improve his grace, balance, and control over his body. He later claimed that, even more so than martial arts, ballet was the most difficult training he had ever done. He knew his karate friends would laugh, so he never told them. But in actuality, ballet contributed to his kick's flawless appearance. He was able to perform the well-known splits that everyone would later discuss thanks to it. In 1975, at the age of 15, Jean-Claude participated in his first actual karate match. Between 1976 and 1980, he won 44 semi-contact bouts and lost just 4. He suffered a severe roundhouse kick from his opponent in one of his first bouts in Brussels. Jean-Claude nearly lost, but he defeated the other man in a matter of seconds. That moment demonstrated his true toughness. He assisted the Belgian karate team in winning a significant European competition in Brussels in December 1979. He then achieved his greatest victory to date on March 8, 1980. He faced off against Patrick Teugels, who had previously defeated him twice. Despite breaking his own hand during the fight, Jean-Claude persisted. Teugels was unable to continue after he kicked him in the nose with such force. Jean-Claude prevailed via TKO. He had to cease fighting for months while his hand was operated on. However, his match demonstrated that he possessed a champion's heart. Jean-Claude won the middleweight championship of the European Professional Karate Association in 1979 when he was barely 19 years old. He only lost one full contact fight and had 18 knockouts. Most people acknowledged that he was a strong and accomplished fighter, but some questioned the records, claiming that the statistics might have been inflated with weaker opponents. He founded California Gym, a tiny gym in Brussels, when he was 20 years old. It was adjacent to a graveyard, Although it hardly generated money, he hoped the gym would provide him with a source of income and a place to train. He took on a variety of jobs to make ends meet. He modeled for physique magazines, laid carpets, and delivered pizzas. In order to save money on rent, he frequently slept in the gym. He occasionally even stole meals and ate restaurant leftovers. This continued for over 2 years. With the goal of traveling to America, he saved as much money as he could. He eventually arrived in Los Angeles in 1982 when he was 21 years old. According to some, he only brought $50. Some claim it was as much as $5,000 or even $2,000. He had no acting experience, no English, and no one to support him, regardless of the number. He lived close to Venice Beach in his automobile. In addition to doing odd jobs like delivering pizzas, cleaning apartments, and waiting tables, he took showers in public restrooms. After meeting Chuck Norris while working as a limo driver, he was given the opportunity to perform stunts. His first film appearance was in Break in 1984, where he briefly made an appearance while performing a ridiculous background dance. Not even credit was given to it. He was a bouncer at a bar operated by Chuck Norris at this time. He was so impoverished that he occasionally had to eat from trash cans to survive. Nevertheless, he continued to exercise every day and attend auditions. Eventually, he joined Chuck Norris as a sparring partner, which helped him get recognition. He was cast as a minor antagonist in No Retreat, No Surrender in 1986. He only received $250 for portraying a vicious Russian combatant. The director repeatedly told him to quit hurting people after he physically assaulted his co-stars during sequences. Van Damme, however, approached every battle scene with intensity and gravity. He took his most audacious action to date that same year. He noticed producer Menom Gulan eating at the restaurant where he was employed. Van Damme held a bowl of soup and executed a flawless roundhouse kick. Gulan asked him to try out since he was so impressed. At Cannon Films, Van Damme waited all day. Jean-Claude removed his shirt and performed high kicks over the producer's head until Gulan eventually summoned him in. Gulan was taken aback. Next week in Hong Kong, he tossed him a script, which was Bloodsport. The picture was made on a very small budget, between $1.5 and $2.3 million. Van Damme performed all of his own stunts without any safety equipment. He executed all the kicks himself and did the splits on kitchen counters. Despite the danger of the fighting, Van Damme didn't care. He persuaded Gulan to allow him to re-edit the battle scenes, even though the film was delayed and nearly went straight to film. He spent weeks working constantly. Bloodsport astonished everyone by earning $50 million worldwide when it was ultimately released in 1988. However, things did not go as planned. He had a terrible Predator audition in 1987. The costume cost $20,000 to build, and he was hired to wear it. He detested it. He fainted twice due to claustrophobia caused by the costume. The producer screamed that he would be fired if it occurred again. Van Damme jerked. He broke the pricey headgear after ripping it off. After yelling, the producers threw him off the set. Kevin Peter Hall, a 7-foot-tall actor, took his position. Jean-Claude Van Damme rose to international fame with Kickboxer in 1989. Despite only costing $2, it grossed $50 million when it was released on September 8 on $7 million to earn. It ranked third in the US after earning $4.1 million in its first weekend of release and playing on 973 screens. Van Damme trained in authentic Muay Thai with local fighters while the film was being filmed in Thailand. Thai kickboxing was first shown to the globe in a Hollywood film. The scene where Van Damme dances intoxicatedly in a Bangkok pub is the most memorable. He appears wild as he moves to the music with his shirt open, and then he gets into a vicious altercation. One of most talked about incidents in his career was that odd combination of aggressive and humorous. It made Muay Thai renowned and made him a real action star. Cyborg was released in the same year. It was filmed for less than $500,000 in just 23 days. The scrapped He-Man and Spider-Man films cost Cannon Films money. In order to make use of the remaining sets and costumes, director Albert Pune hurriedly devised a new tale in a single weekend. Even the names of guitars like Marshall Strat and Gibson Rickenbacker were borrowed for the film. While filming, a terrible incident occurred. Van Damme unintentionally used a pretend knife to strike actor Jackson Rock Pinkney in the eye. A lawsuit resulting from the injury cost the studio $485,000. However, the film made over $10 million and launched a new cyberpunk series in spite of the pandemonium and negative reviews. Van Damme played a more sentimental part in Lionheart. In 1990, he portrayed Lion Gautier, a soldier who, in order to provide for his deceased brother's family, leaves the French Foreign Legion and engages in unlawful combat in Los Angeles. There were no regulations, and the fights were rough and vicious. During filming, Van Damme had multiple injuries, including a dislocated shoulder. The film was referred to as AWOL in the UK and Wrong Bet in Australia. It debuted in France on August 1990, and on January 11, 1991, it made its way to American theaters. This film demonstrated that he was capable of more than just fighting. He played a police officer working undercover in a jail in the film Death Warrant, which he starred in later that year. On a $6 million budget, it made $46 million. Van Damme constantly altering the battle scenes to incorporate his renowned spinning kicks, which caused production to slow down. He didn't want to engage in a typical cop fight. The fact that the prison interiors were actually recorded at the Ambassador Hotel's basement in Los Angeles is among the most intriguing elements. He even assisted with post-production editing to make the fight scenes appear more intense while Pretty Woman was being filmed upstairs. The last confrontation with a spooky murderer named Sandman took place within a massive power plant in Los Angeles in a single day. He played twin brothers in Double Impact in 1991. The 110-minute film was released on July 30. Van Damme had to play both parts, alternating between the gruff, irate brother and the serene, endearing one. To make the sequences appear more realistic, they employed real twin stand-ins and split-screen techniques. Everything had to be done using camera timing and optical effects because this was before computer-generated imagery. It was among the first films to show that he was capable of more than just fighting. In fact, he was capable of playing a variety of characters. Van Damme had achieved great success with Universal Soldier by 1992. On a $23 million budget, it earned $12 million globally. However, tension was building behind the scenes. He insisted on having a luxurious trailer and refused to leave the site without his wife, bodybuilder Gladys Portuguese. She had to be airlifted to every filming site, which resulted in significant delays. According to his co-star Dolph Lundgren, Van Damme had grown egotistical and challenging. When they nearly got into a brawl on stage at Cannes in 1992, their animosity erupted. While some believe it was faked, others claim it was real. In any case, Van Damme became a true A-list star as a result of the film's popularity. He collaborated on Hard Target in 1993 with renowned Hong Kong filmmaker John Woo. Van Damme insisted on performing his own stunts while filming in the swamps of Louisiana, nearly breaking his leg in one scene with a horse kick. Universal recruited Sam Raimi to oversee the production since they were so concerned about Woo's direction. Although it took 65 days to complete, Woo subsequently stated that Van Damme's willingness to perform risky situations astounded him. With a budget of $28 million and total earnings of $101.6 million, Time Cop 1994 became Van Damme's biggest hit to date. He portrayed a time-traveling police officer. In order to showcase his split moves, he ensured that the script included additional scenes. The moment in the kitchen where he jumps into a split to avoid electrocution became famous. Additionally, he pushed for moments in which he displayed his body, particularly his butt, of which he was extremely proud. For the part, he received $3 million. Fans enjoyed the action and time travel, while others criticized the plot gaps. However, when he filmed Street Fighter later that year, things went too far. Each week, he used cocaine worth $10,000. Director Steven Duza said Van Damme would show up high and disappear for hours. They had to hire a wrangler just to keep track of him. Additionally, while filming in Thailand, he had an affair with Kylie Minogue. Before he came clean about it in 2012, his wife, Darcy Lapierre, was unaware that he was pregnant. He also insisted on separate hotels and private flights. He managed to put on a respectable show in spite of everything. He received his largest payment ever, $5 million, for his untimely demise in 1995. During a Stanley Cup Finals hockey game, he acted as a fire marshal, saving lives. NHL players, including Luc Robitaille, participated in the filming, which took place at Pittsburgh's Real Civic Arena. The arena's kitchen even featured a fight scenario with Iceberg, the team mascot. Additionally, Van Damme performed a ridiculous ziplining stunt from the arena roof that was ridiculed. Although it made $64 million internationally, the $35 million film only made $20.4 million in the US. In 1996, he directed his first film, Quest, which was set in Tibet in 1925. 16 different nations sent real combatants to compete for a golden dragon statue. Van Damme frequently called in sick, though, and continued to use $10,000 worth of cocaine per week. Instead of controlling him, a studio handler made matters worse. He missed entire days of filming since he returned from his trip to Hong Kong late. The $35 million movie nonetheless performed well abroad, despite all the delays and issues. At Maximum Danger, he reprised his role as twin brothers in 1996. The Russian mafia murders one, and the other wants retribution. The automobile chases were deadly and real. In one collision, a stunt double suffered severe injuries. Van Damme insisted on uncompromising realism, although detractors said that he wasn't even responsible for the majority of the risky material. He simply wore a towel for one of the battle scenes in the movie, which attracted a lot of attention. Due to the antics, the $15 million budget was overstretched. He was paired with Dennis Rodman by Double Team in 1997. However, Van Damme was starting to act erratically. He would move from happy and manic to depressed in the same day due to undiagnosed bipolar disorder. Due to his emotional swings, director Tui Hark had to constantly alter the sequences. The more reliable one turned out to be Rodman, who had no prior acting experience. The $30 million film was more about finishing it than it was about the plot. Then, in 1998, he portrayed a fashion designer who was entangled in a conspiracy involving exploding pants in knockoff. Van Damme received a bipolar disorder diagnosis that same year. He gave a crazy performance, behaving weird on set and singing songs from Hong Kong. He continued to film while attempting to enter rehab. His mood swings required the director to adjust, frequently halting production entirely. The bizarre tale of fashion terrorism in the film was a reflection of Van Damme's actual circumstances. Also in 1998, Legionnaire came out based on Van Damme's goal of joining the French Foreign Legion. But when he passed out in a strip club in Manhattan that February, his reputation was ruined. In the bathroom, he made fun of Chuck Stowe, a former boxer and Hell's Angel. After hearing Van Damme's words, Zito went to his table and gave him a forceful punch that sent him falling across the floor. As onlookers watched, the pounding went on. The situation was made considerably more embarrassing by Legionnaire's box office failure at the same time. Jean-Claude Van Damme received a call in 1995 that might have determined his future. For a trilogy, Universal Pictures was paying him $36 million, including $12 million for each film. Time Cop recently earned more than $100 million globally. Van Damme told them that, like Jim Carrey, he wanted $20 million each movie instead of signing. "Everything I touched became money," he remarked. However, he did not hear a return offer from the other end. It was giggling. They hung up the phone after laughing. His career as an A-list star came to an end in that one moment. He was earning $75,000 for The Death Warrant just 5 years prior in 1990. He was making $8 million from Street Fighter by 1994. But he was immediately banned for the $20 million gamble. Behind the scenes, the Street Fighter set was already in disarray that year. Van Damme was addicted to cocaine and used about 10 grams daily. It cost him about $500,000 annually, or roughly $10,000 every week. He couldn't operate without his fix, would vanish from the set, and miss entire filming days. He had to be assigned a handler by the studio, but that individual only made matters worse by joining him for a party and bringing champagne to the set. He started experiencing hallucinations by 1996 when Double Team was being filmed. He entered a treatment facility but left without using narcotics after 7 days. He wasn't functioning at all. He became known in Hollywood as Jean-Claude Van Damme. Then everything fell apart in 1998. He was diagnosed with rapid cycling bipolar disorder by medical professionals following a suicide attempt. For years, he had been alternating between periods of depression and manic highs. It made sense now. He was extremely creative but combative during manic moments. He would snap, demand exorbitant pay, and use cocaine as a form of self-medication. Gladys Portuguese, his wife, had to put up with the erratic mood swings. He eventually sought help as a result of the suicide attempt. After taking mood stabilizers, he talked candidly about it on Oprah in 2007. However, the harm to his career was already done. He became embroiled in yet another issue in 1994 while filming Street Fighter in Thailand. He began an affair with Kylie Minogue while still married to Darcy Leapier. In an interview with The Guardian nearly 2 decades later, he acknowledged it, describing it as a lovely kiss and a magnificent act of lovemaking. Not having had an affair would be abnormal, he remarked. She is so lovely. It was made worse by the chronology. He either cheated during his engagement or right after marrying Lapierre. Their 1999 divorce was partly caused by the affair. When questioned about it in subsequent interviews, Van Damme frequently left the room without responding. Then came the night that permanently damaged his reputation as an action hero. He insulted Chuck Stowe, the president of the Hells Angels, on February 5, 1998, at Manhattan's Scores strip club. In the restroom, Van Damme, who was with Mickey Rourke, boastfully remarked that ZTO lacked heart. ZTO lacked heart. Stowe heard about it. He strolled up to Van Damme's table and asked if he truly said that. Yes, Van Damme replied. Zoe wasted no time at all. He used a right-left combo to knock him down cold. Van Damme fell back in his seat and landed on the ground. Zoe continued to punch until he was removed by security. When Van Damme was unconscious, Zito shouted, "This ain't the movies. This is the street, and I own the street." The tale made the rounds in Hollywood and the newspapers, ruining Van Damme's reputation as a tough guy. Desert Heat went straight to video in 1999. It received a score of 5. IMDb gave it a 2 out of 10 rating with only 11,000 votes. The last signal was that Van Damme had lost its reputation at the box office. Now, he worked as a direct-to-DVD actor. He had become toxic in Hollywood due to cocaine, legal issues, missed shootings, and incessant reshoots. Additionally, Universal Soldier: The Return was a complete failure when it was released that same year. Despite sending $45 million to produce, the film only made $10.7 million globally. International sales accounted for only $270,000. On its first weekend, it only brought in $2,800 per theater. The Die sequel only made 11% of the original's $95 million. In terms of total box office receipts, it came in at number 5,389 overall. He tried something new in 2008. JCVD was honest and self-conscious. He portrayed a damaged version of himself who was caught in a fictitious heist while dealing with financial difficulties and a true custody dispute. He sobs and confesses everything over an 8-minute monologue: drugs, bad films, and divorced couples. It was praised by critics. No, audiences didn't. Seeing their action hero weep made people uneasy. It was one of his best performances, but it didn't work out. He was given the opportunity to return to the major leagues in 2012 with The Expendables 2. He portrayed the antagonist, Jean Villain. But Vin Diesel blocked him when he attempted to join Fast and Furious. In 2023, Van Damme disclosed that Diesel stated, "No, I don't want him." Despite Diesel's success in Expendables 2, his character was killed off. Stallone hinted of a comeback alongside Claude Van Damme, his identical brother, but it never materialized. Later, Van Damme claimed that Hollywood no longer had room for men like him, likening himself to a manual gearbox in a world of Teslas. Then, the worst time yet arrived in April 2025. Prosecutors in Romania charged him with involvement in a trafficking case. Van Damme allegedly took 5 trafficked women from Romanian mafia leader Morel Bolia at a Canis event in 2015. According to witnesses, the women were brought to Van Damme at a hotel party after being stolen from a fashion TV crew. According to one attorney, the women were obviously exploited. The claims were deemed ludicrous by Van Damme's representative, but the investigation was still in progress and the consequences were severe. However, he did not disappear. He provided Master Croc's voice in Kung Fu Panda 2 in 2011. He provided Jean-Claude's voice in Minions: The Rise of Gru in 2022. He started playing vocal parts that didn't call for the same level of physical force. He was able to maintain his stability for these endeavors with the help of medication and regular exercise. His treatment became martial arts. In an attempt to control his bipolar disease, he trained daily and even posted fitness advice on YouTube. He started Train with Van Damme in April 2020, teaching people how to work out at home using only everyday objects and no special equipment. He starred in 2016 Amazon self-parody Jean-Claude Van Johnson. He portrayed himself as a covert agent and a washed-up actor. The show made light of his ego, damaged image, and addictions. Fans witnessed a Van Damme who could laugh at his own legacy, even though it lasted only 6 episodes. He made a second appearance in Darkness of Man in 2024. He portrayed a former Interpol officer attempting to keep a kid safe from gangs. Co-starring his real-life son gave the part more emotional dimension. The movie debuted in May and became available on Netflix in December. It depicted an older, more reserved Van Damme who was still making an effort to change his ways. No indications of relapse were present. He apparently overcame his addiction in 1998 when he committed to therapy.